Welcome to the video where we talk about being ashamed of what turns you on. I think this is a very human experience. Not everybody would be willing to admit it, but I think it is. And I personally have had many fantasies that I am ashamed to talk about with people, even with my partner who I totally love and trust. And it's affected me a lot throughout the years, the amount of shame that I have around my fantasies. I believe that shame is our internal police. It's there to make sure that we belong to the society we think we need to belong to in order to be safe. Our shame is also trying to keep us in check, make sure there's no part of us that would do something wrong or hurt someone else. On a societal level, it can arguably be helpful, maybe, but on a personal level, in this kind of situation, what I find that it does is it causes us to repress and hide and shrink into ourselves, to feel more and more shame, more judgment, repulsion, disgust towards ourselves, and then towards others as well. It causes these things within us to grow into sometimes unmanageable desires or addictions. And I find that the harder we repress parts of us, the louder they tend to yell. So, what if, instead of shaming yourself, you dropped the shame for like 10 minutes? It can actually be a scary proposition. But what if you actually face your deepest, darkest sexual fantasies, sexual shames, and brought them into the light for just 10 minutes with me? What if you looked at them with curiosity instead of judgment? Take some time to do this with me now. I'm going to guide you through some questions to ask yourself. And I'd highly recommend that you write these down or you speak them out loud. It really helps immensely in trying to process deep things. And of course, a big key here is to be really honest with yourself. So let's get started.
Take a moment to think about your deepest, most shameful fantasy. The thing that turns you on that you would never admit to anyone. Bring it up now and really feel it in your body. See if you can feel curiosity towards it instead of shame. And ask yourself, what is it exactly about this that turns me on? What is the most exciting moment in my fantasy for me? What about that moment is exciting? In this situation or fantasy, how do I feel? Do I feel powerful, helpless, insatiable, satiated, in control, out of control, etc.? In my fantasy, how do I feel? How do I think the other person or people or dragons or whatever in my fantasy feel? How do I think they feel? How do they feel about or towards me? Why might this turn me on? What need does it satisfy in me? Like, does it satisfy the need to be in control or to be feared or to have somebody's full attention or to be out of control? Like, what need might it satisfy in me? And why might this be coming up in my life or fantasies? How could I achieve this feeling or dynamic in an adult, consensual, real life way with myself and or my partners? Are there other fantasies that I could play with that would include some of these aspects, like other fantasies where I'm in control or being satiated or being ravished, etc.? And the last question is, what did I learn from this? Just reflect on your answers and think about, what did you learn about yourself?
I want you to all know that we all have shadows. I would venture to say that we all have things that turn us on that at least some point we felt shame about or kept a secret. Maybe we've developed to the place of accepting and even playing with these parts and no longer feel shame about them. But at some point, I think most, if not all, people are where you are right now. You're probably completely normal. I also want to add a disclaimer that I am not saying that all fantasies should be acted on. I hope that's obvious, especially doing non-consensual things or anything involving an underage person. Children should be protected at all costs. Listening to your shadows and treating yourself with compassion does not mean that all your fantasies or urges are fine to indulge in. What it does mean is that often shame makes things worse and prevents us from really understanding ourselves and being able to be in touch with our shadows. When we understand them, it usually turns out to be not as dark as we thought, not as shameful as we thought, and we can take steps to integrate it into our lives in a healthy way that doesn't harm ourselves or others. I hope this was really helpful for you. I found huge healing in facing my own shame with curiosity instead of judgment. If you like this video, check out my other videos and make sure to subscribe and press the little bell so you get notification whenever a new video of mine comes out. I have one video that comes out every 2 weeks. And if you liked this video, you might also like my video on how to deal with your shadows, how to face them, how to deal with your guilt, or anything along those lines. So check those out. I hope it brings you some healing and a better connection to yourself. If you want to connect with me or my coaching, you can do that through my website, www.phoebed.com. And I would also highly recommend my podcast called Sexuality After. If you find yourself with some shame around your sexuality, listening to other people's stories about their sexuality and their sexual stories is always so healing. Something that I love about it, and it's one of the purposes of my podcast is to help people feel less shame around their sexuality. So check it out.